Let's get to know Peter. Last TV show you binged.
Netflix, The Crown.
Favorite radio station.
News Talk ZB, iHeart Radio.
Favorite music genre.
Classical, depending on the mood.
Beer or wine.
Wine.
PC or Mac.
PC.
Drive yourself or take public transport.
Both.
Council or commissioners.
Council.
Favorite evening meal you cook yourself.
Roast veggies, including yams.
When was the last time you cleaned your toilet?
This morning.
If elected, what's the first thing you do for Tauranga?
The first thing I would do would be sign in Parliament, take the oath, and the community really is lacking advocacy in Parliament for the people who've been dispossessed, the extreme poor, with regards to the tax system. And at the moment, I have questions that cannot be answered through the Official Information Act in the required time. So as an MP, I can actually ask questions when Parliament's sitting, and they would have 14 days to answer the question. So the thing is that I think the current lot in Parliament are not really much different, apart from the colour of their party colours. And I think we really need someone who is not beholden to a political party and just has to do what they're told.
When was the last time you were in Tauranga?
I was in Tauranga on putting my nomination in for the by-election.
So we've seen a lot of candidates out there talking on street corners. So why are you not doing any of that? Why are you sitting there in Christchurch when Cameron Luxton, Sam Uppindale, everybody else is out on street corners this week?
Well, I have made YouTube channels, and I've done this before. One is a nearly vegan barbecue. One is an interview with Guy McPherson, which you can search my name and interview Guy McPherson. I have done by-elections before. I've stood for the Tauranga mayoralty. I've had votes before. And at the end of the day, if people don't want me, that's fine. It's their choice. I've spent the time working on official information.
You're not here talking to them, so they're not getting that chance to know you.
Well, with the
you taking place in some of these, public debates that we've had around the city, like, who knows you're even doing this if they're not going out there looking for it? I've not even seen you on a billboard.
Well, I have been invited to one public debate, which I will attend. That's the only public debate that I have been invited to. I won't give you details at the moment, but it's in Matura Bowling Club. I don't want to lose my voice in a by-election, so I'm, mostly campaigning remotely, and I don't particularly want to catch COVID during a campaign and lose my voice.
Do you think should people vote for someone that doesn't live in their city? They can't just walk into your electorate office. They can't show you the massive crack at the end of their driveway.
I have lived at an owned property at Papamoa Beach and in the avenues in Narundra. I have lived there before. I was successful in saving Tauranga Airport when the port company wanted to expand. I did that through the Tauranga District Plan and also their annual plan, and I got other stakeholders involved in trying to save the airport, and Tauranga still has an airport, so I have left my mark.
How many times have you run for MP in Tauranga? Have you done this around the country as well? You did this a lot for different electorates?
I've only stood in by-elections. The first by-election in Tauranga was in 1993 when Winston Peters resigned from Parliament. National Labour didn't run candidates. Te Tai Haru, National Labour didn't run candidates. And in Mount Albert, where the Prime Minister's seat is now, she caused a by-election. Well, she won a by-election, and National didn't run a candidate. So this is the first time in 4 by-elections that National has actually run a candidate.
Okay, on to business. What's the single biggest issue facing Tauranga that's so important you die in a ditch over?
Well, I don't plan to die in a ditch, but poverty is the number one issue, and how to fund a city and look after its people without making it unaffordable for the ratepayers, the renters, and the community. So to achieve this, in my view, we need to remove the 15% GST off things we spend like food, insurance, car repairs, dentistry. So to have a financial system that favours people looking after themselves rather than going broke and getting into debt and financially struggling. We've got to change it to have free education so people can get ahead rather than go backwards.
Tauranga grinds to a halt every rush hour, but nowhere near enough people want to take the bus. Can we afford to just keep building roads, or is there a line somewhere there?
Well, with endless immigration, we fill up our roads and we just cannot carry on building roads to meet such high demand. So I personally in Tauranga have caught the bus. Some road infrastructure is necessary, and roads are never going to solve the problem, because if you go to Auckland, you actually can walk faster than what the roads can carry the traffic demand.
So what's the solution there?
The solution really is public transport actually has to be faster than taking a car. When I lived in Singapore, public transport was faster than taking a car. And in Auckland, with the busways, it's fine. But Tauranga, because it's such a spread out city, there's no easy solution to that because people are in different areas. So I imagine over time we'll probably have autonomous cars, and then there will be less vehicles on the road because of automation.
Is there anything we can do before autonomous cars become a thing, though? Because that's a long way away.
Well, Tesla...
What can we do today? What solutions can we start doing today to end this never-ending gridlock?
Well, there is no easy solution for it. Things with the fuel price, it makes more people carpool, and transport companies are working very efficiently, trying to be most effective as possible. So we cannot carry on building endless highways to solve the problem, because at the end of the day, people have to get on and off. So it really, we're living in an unsustainable world that cannot have internal growth forever.
Youth crime is in the news a lot these days. What's the solution there?
The solution for youth crime, in my view, starts from the family situation. And a lot of New Zealanders have had damage from drugs, alcohol, and not understanding how to respect people's boundaries. So, and these people are open to the idea of growing their personal growth. It's something the government can't really do apart from have the administration and try and help. But at the end of the day, it's individuals that need help, and it's hard to help individuals that don't want to help themselves. And when people are in extreme poverty or extreme stress situations, that they don't take help ideally. So Knives and Forks was a program about diet, and if people eat properly, they get proper rest, they then, with less stress, they are open to improve themselves. So it starts with free education for the families, giving families support, because it's very hard to raise a family in that environment in extreme poverty, and it just is becoming more extreme, and crime just goes up. Because years ago, Tauranga used to have gardens and people could actually look after themselves from what the garden can produce, and now that is not so possible with everything that's going on.
The cost of living is affecting everybody, some more than others. What tangible things can a government do to address this?
The tangible thing the government can do is stop taxing people's life's necessities. 15% GST on our food, power bills, insurance, dentistry, everything else like that. It needs to change to a financial transactions tax. The idea of the tax system at the moment favours those who export, because they can just claim the 15% back as part of their business. And the people importing add 15%. So the whole tax structure is not favouring the individuals, especially at the bottom end of the line, who have to pay so much tax just in their living costs. So we've got to remove GST and replace it with financial transaction tax, and using debt-free money to finance things with climate change, because economists are disastrous people. Because if you imagine a village, you wouldn't call a Wall Street bank in to get things done for that village. It has to be a community-based banking system run by the government for the people rather than the overseas bankers.
And how do you know that approach would work?
Well, the first Labor government used debt-free money from the Reserve Bank to build state housing. And we had lots of people who didn't have homes, didn't have food, and that created jobs. And then it reduced the cost of housing because it was financially viable to live in a house with an income-related rent that gave people security. So if you were employing people, they could afford to work for you because they could afford to live. Now, people have difficulty getting people to work for them because the cost of housing makes it unviable to pay people on the living wage, because it simply isn't enough to live and work on that job without sustainable housing costs.
I want you to tell me why you run for elections in other cities around New Zealand. Like, why do you go for the ones in your own city?
I've never stood in a by-election in the South Island. I've only stood for by-elections in the North Island. And as I said, Tauranga, I put my name in first for the 1993 by-election. In this by-election, I announced my name standing in this by-election before anyone else did.
But I just want to know why you keep standing for these by-elections. What makes you do it?
Well, political debate is about debate, and at election times, it's a contest of ideas regardless of who gets in. And I just think a lot of people born recently have no idea about how government funded state housing with debt-free money. And to be part of democracy, it costs $300, two nominators to stand in any electorate. And it's about achieving something better than we have at the moment. And I believe that I have achieved things through all my by-elections that I have stood for.